The truth about selling your home, what nobody tells you before you put it on the market. Welcome to the latest series of Anderson Jones Property Podcasts, all done to help you with the difficult job of buying and selling your home. Welcome to Anderson Jones Property Podcast. I'm joined as always by my lovely business partner Adrian, and today we are kicking off the very first episode with something that we genuinely believe every single person thinking about selling their home needs to hear.
Candice, welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Or we are hosting together.
Yes,
yes. The podcast. Good to be back in the podcast chairs. This is a conversation we have several times a day with ourselves, with others, with other agents who work with the Keller Williams brand, with our clients, future clients. Price is the thing that it always comes back to.
It's all very sensitive at the moment, isn't it? And that's something
I think
talking
it is
about.
You could say that right this second it's very sensitive, but it's always, whatever the market's doing, good, bad, indifferent, it is always still the initial focus and of every discussion about somebody's property. The first thing people think about.
Yep. And the thing is, whether you are thinking about selling this year, whether you've already tried and it hasn't worked, or whether you're just curious about the process and what it actually looks like, stay with us, because the next 15 minutes might just change how you see the whole thing. Adrian, let's start right at the beginning. Someone decides they want to sell their home. What is the very first thing that goes through most people's minds?
What's my house worth? That's it. That is the beginning of every thought and every discussion. Whether they get an agent out for it, whether they've gone online on Zoopla and Rightmove and an instant valuation, the very first thought is, what's my house worth? It's, to dumb it down, it's in its simplest format. It's a bit like saying, I'm going into town to buy a pair of jeans. How much money have I got?
Yes.
It's the same principle.
Yes.
It's a slightly larger scale than a pair of jeans, but the principle is the same. How much money have I got at the moment? And obviously you have to do subtractions for mortgage outstanding and what you're going to buy and all the other myriad of things. It's slightly more complicated than buying a pair of jeans.
Well, it is.
The principle is the same. How much money have I got to spend on this pair of jeans?
And it can really play on one's mind. It really, really can. But it is so important, and it is something we see time and time again, isn't it? The home that looks perfect on paper, great location, good size. I mean, I know. Reasonable price. It's something which we're constantly looking for.
I think the point is, it's quite rightly every seller and future seller's focus.
That's it.
But we have to sort of come back from that. And obviously we'll give people an indication of price. But our job isn't portal and pray, grab a price, shove a board up. Our job is to say, okay, that's what we think the price is, but now let's look at what we can do to make sure we achieve that best price, that we find the best buyer, that we find a reasonable period of time to sell it in.
Well, because the thing is, you know, with a lot of clients, you see this happening, and especially with what's going on at the moment, a very sensitive time. Nothing happens, no viewings, no offers, and the seller absolutely has no idea why.
So you're looking at something that's then been overpriced?
Yes.
Are you looking at a situation where, just use figures as an example, the house is probably worth 700. The owners are hoping 750 because they only see the good things in their house.
Of course.
And the agent either doesn't challenge it and say, actually, I think this is 700, all the evidence would suggest, or indeed the agent goes in at 750, dare I say it, to secure the business and win the business. Unfortunate, but it does go on. So you're thinking of a situation where that's happened, and then the owner's saying, I'm not getting any viewings, I'm not getting any feedback. And that's silent. Particularly when you first go on the market. When you first go on the market, you're very excited. However long that's taken, you're thinking, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Can I dumb it down and liken it to something else?
Yes, please do.
Put something on eBay. And it might be something that's £20.
Yes.
And you're hoping to get £20 for this old LP or something, since he's surrounded by the Beatles.
The thing he loves the most.
And you put it on eBay. You know, on eBay quite soon by the followers, not so bids, but followers on that. Is it followers?
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, anyway, interested parties, whatever they call it. I've done eBay for a while. You know quite early on whether you've got something that's going to fly or die. So as the owner, you've done all this preparation or not, depending.
Yeah.
It goes online, you see it online, you get very excited, and then there's no viewings. Or there's 1 or 2 viewings that the agent said at the beginning, Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Mr. and Mrs. Brown will come and look at this. But that's it. So
what should the strategy actually look like, do you think?
Well, for a start, there should be a strategy, and most agents, I'll try not to be too critical and label everybody in the same way, but we know from seeing properties on the market and discussing things with owners on the market, when we say, what is your agent strategy? And they look at us with a blank face, well, there isn't one, apart from putting it on the market. And they may have done some work beforehand or not. And again, the variety of work that agents do to prepare it varies from very good to nothing. But whatever they've done, they put it on the market and they portal and pray, as we call it. And,
yes.
And the problem with that is when you then don't get viewings, apart from the fact that it means you're not going to sell your house, you don't get feedback. You don't get people coming through the house saying this, and this. And from that, you can then determine the next stage of your strategy. But if you haven't even written a strategy, so we'll put together typically an 8-week strategy.
Exactly.
Obviously the dream scenario is you have an open house and you find a buyer. But 4 times out of 5, we find our buyer at that open house.
Yes.
But not necessarily able to proceed then. They have to go and find a buyer. They have to go and just make sure that it's the one that they want.
Yes, exactly.
But, 4 times out of 5, we found a buyer from that original open house weekend. But if that doesn't work, or if we found people who like it but can't proceed, you've got to have the next backup plan. What's the next backup plan? Well, we will do this social media post. We will then focus on this element of it. We will mail it out again to those who are looking to buy. We will send it to those who are just part of our Clubhouse database to see if they know anybody. There are backup plans as what you do.
Exactly. And one thing that I find we, if I may say so myself, we're very good at is discussing not just the price, but the presentation, the importance of presentation of the actual home.
It's back to the home selling workshop, home selling secrets idea of
absolutely
whether you've got a show house that literally needs a bunch of flowers on a table, or whether you've got a overflowing family home with, the reason for the move is the fact that the kids are growing up and the place is bulging at the seams. It's doing what you can
exactly
to help people see that property in its best light. And sometimes, and we've had this experience when you talk to people about staging a home and preparing and presenting it, they think, yeah, but it's a scruffy old house that needs a paint. That's why we're selling it. That's not the point. The point is clear the space, clear you out of it a little bit, so that when people come and see it, they can imagine it, even if it's not the greatest house in the greatest condition.
Exactly.
Not everybody buys an immaculate show house.
Well, no, we can even look at things like cars. We were just chatting about cars with the lovely Jack earlier on, and if you're thinking about buying a car, and privately speaking, and you have loads of bits of things lying around in the car, you won't necessarily be able to see yourself in that car enjoying being on the road in it.
And you clean it before you sell it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So on to the next part of this, which is really, really important. And it's a very good question for you because you've got so much experience. What a good agent really looks like. And it's something which I really want us to talk about, the right agent. Because I think this is where so many people get let down. What does a genuinely good agent look like?
Well, if you're watching this on video, then you're looking at them. I would say.
True story.
If you look at the biggest criticism of estate agents, there is some criticism of lack of strategy. There is some criticism about lack of skill and perception of how to present a property. But the biggest single complaint about estate agents is communication.
Yes.
And as broadly speaking, salespeople, and there's a lot more to our role than that.
Yeah.
We're great at communicating good news, harder to communicate bad news. It's very easy to say to a vendor, we've got another 5 viewings. When can we fit these viewings in? Rather than, we've not got any.
Exactly.
And, we have those situations where we haven't got any viewings. What do we do? Those are the tough conversations. So it's about communication. And the important thing, and this comes back to being individual with every client, how much communication do you want, Mr. Client? Because we know clients who literally want to be told every time the wind changes direction and every time everything happens.
Well, exactly. It's down to honesty.
And there's others.
Real honesty.
But there's others who say, get on with it. I don't want to hear everything you do.
That's true.
But just tell me when something important happens.
But
so you just, and how do you want to be communicated with?
Exactly. But it does come back to honesty. And we're talking about real honesty, which is very, very important. It's not just telling a seller what they want to hear. Because at the end of the day, it is your job and it's their biggest asset for most homeowners.
And the roof over their head.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that communication, the beauty of it is that there are many horrible things about our modern technical world.
Yes.
But there is no excuse not to communicate something to somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
If you've got busy working people who can't take calls, like doctors, teachers, people in the city, there are various people who just cannot take a call in a car. You can WhatsApp. And we use, as you know, there are three main ways you can communicate with somebody. We use WhatsApp just to tell them stuff that's gone on.
Yes.
We then we'll probably then send a WhatsApp to say, can you give us a call when you've got an opportunity? Ideally, both of you, the typical husband and wife couple selling or buying, because there's something we need to talk to you about. And then there's the third level of that is we need to come and see you.
Yes.
And the coming to see you, maybe we have an offer that we need to discuss. We might want to discuss the next phase of marketing, the next part of a strategy. It might be a price correction. That's the face-to-face discussion.
Speaking of good agents, how do you find that good agent? Because everybody says they're great. Every agent promises communication and results. How do you cut through that?
I would ask them that communication question, because quite a lot of them will tell you some of the other very specific things. We're on Rightmove, we're on Zoopla, we do this sort of photography.
That's it.
We have this social media platform. But a lot not, and then the communication element will be, we do great customer service. Well, it's in every industry, it's the simple throwaway line. So I'd come back to referrals and people who've dealt with agents.
Yep.
I think the advantage that we have and other smaller agents have who deal with less property is on the important matters, they deal with one of us.
Well,
we have a background team who deal with stuff, admin, marketing. When it comes to issues on the property, they're talking to one of you and I. And I know, again, from sales progression and from talking to clients who've got, dare I say it, a bigger agent, they're talking at various stages with various different people. And it's very frustrating when you're doing sales progression of our own chains, when you phone the office responsible for a property in that chain, and it seems to be quite often a different person dealing with it each time. And the continuity is lost. I've got no problem with there being designated sales progressors, but if that sales progressor may be brilliant at the legal transaction element, but if they don't know the detail of the owners and what they're going through and why they're selling and what they're looking to buy, it then becomes, the sales progression becomes transactional again.
Yes, exactly.
And it's not transactional.
No.
There's elements of transaction,
but
there's a human being who's going through whatever it is,
that's it.
Happy or sad, which is why they're selling their home.
And on that note, the seller who came to us, as an example, I want to talk about something specific here, because I think the best way to illustrate all of this, communication, strategy, honesty, is through a real story. We had a seller come to us not so long ago, and they had been trying to sell their home for over, was it 18 months?
Yep, 18 months.
What do you remember about that situation? I've got a couple of things I remember, but I want to hear it from you.
The headlines you remember is they've been trying to sell for 18 months. It was following they lost their partner, a woman of a certain age. And obviously there's all that emotional trauma, but then decided I need to sell the family home. I'm going to go and live closer to family. And there's that 18 months of not selling, 3 different agents. Originally, the price suggested utterly ridiculous. It's the only thing I can say. I'm all for an agent being optimistic.
Absolutely.
I'm all for an agent sometimes getting it wrong because they were just a bit optimistic about the lovely bits and forgot the negatives.
Yeah.
This was just mad. That's the only way to describe it. But the things I really remember are 2 things when we first saw her. In fact, I remember 3 things, but the 2 things when we first saw her were she didn't really know why it wasn't selling. And the price had been reduced to something that looked reasonable. In fact, I think more than reasonable. She didn't really know why people weren't buying it. It was 1 or 2 people anecdotally, as opposed to these are the issues we've got. How do we deal with it? And the other thing was just this whole confusion of no longer trusting anybody, agent, solicitor, buyer, anybody involved, complete loss of trust and faith. We managed to create that because we got referred to her as a result of a sale nearby.
Yes, yeah.
And she, classic thing, dog walk, chatting to a neighbour. Neighbour said, these guys have got us out of a bit of a problem. And the other thing I remember with her, we took it off the market over Christmas.
She was exhausted.
She looked, she was a lady of a certain age, but she looked exhausted. She looked pale, as you say. We saw her then, I don't know, late January, early February, before we put it back on the market. She looked years younger. Because she'd got renewed confidence and trust. She went through a little bit of I'm back on the market again.
Yes.
What's going to happen with all these viewings? And she was so keen to get it right and work with us, but it transformed her. And of course, as you know, we found the buyer from the open house.
Well, the first open house. Well, we only did 1 open house, and that was the beauty of it. And I'll never forget, she was so optimistic and she believed in us, which is always lovely. That you actually left us a bottle of champagne to have during the open house.
Dressed the house for the open house. Yeah.
Exactly. And what was the result?
I ate too many shortbread biscuits. The result was we got 15 people through the house from appointments. 3 people walked in. And by Monday tea time from a second viewing, we had a proceedable acceptable offer. She then went off and goes and buys her own house, which she's now very close to exchanging on. So these things work.
If you've been watching this and this resonates with you, please get in touch. Our details are below and we would be more than happy to have a chat.
And it doesn't need to be any obligation at all. If you're in the middle of a contract with somebody else, just give us a call and we'll give you some straightforward, honest advice to help you move. And indeed, any other property need you may have.
Exactly. Until then, take care of yourselves and remember, when you are ready, we are here. If you have enjoyed listening to our podcast today, head on over and look at our social media at AJ Property UK and our website andersonjones.co.uk for regular updates on the property market too. See you at our next podcast.